Welcome Year 3 to another geography lesson. Last lesson we were looking at Celtic settlements, weren't we? This lesson we're going to be looking at Roman settlements. Check you've got what you need. You need the back of your English book to do your recording, your pencil, your ruler, and you also need a Roman city worksheet. I popped that on Dojo for you, so just make sure you've printed that out ready. Let's start by writing the date and LO, and then having a little think about the question underneath. What sort of settlement did the Romans live in, do you think? And I've got a picture there of an example of one to help you. Pause the video, do those things now. So if we have a look at this settlement, look, it's rather large. We've got what looks like quite a big wall around the outside of the settlement. Perhaps that's for the same reasons that the Celts had a wall as well, to keep people out. And if we look inside, there are many, many buildings. So Romans would build cities and towns as well, so quite large settlements. Let's have a look at the map of the UK. So these black points show us where those Roman settlements were. What countries of the UK did they invade and live in? Pause the video to have a think. Yeah, so we can see there are many, many settlements in the country of England. We've even got London on the map. I don't know if you spotted that. That's our capital city, isn't it? So they even built up London. And we've also got a couple of settlements in Wales, but we can see they were mostly in our country of England. Now, interestingly, there aren't any on this map up in Scotland. And there's a very interesting line here. I'm not going to go into that part of history today, but that might ring a few bells for you from some of our previous learning. You might know why there weren't Roman cities and towns in Scotland, and you might know what that line is. Now, I wonder, did you spot some of these lines on this map? There's quite a few coloured lines. What do you think those lines are? They connect the cities, don't they? Pause the video. What are those lines? Yeah, those lines are roads. I'm going to share with you a video now because the Romans are quite famous for building roads. Some of the roads that they built we still use today, or we still have in our country today. Let's have a watch.
Have you ever heard the phrase, all roads lead to Rome? Well, just over 2,000 years ago, this was true. The Romans controlled a large proportion of the world. One of their many achievements was creating an interconnecting set of roads so that every part of the empire was connected to their capital city, Rome. When the Romans arrived in Britain, it was run by Celtic tribes who didn't have much of a road system. It was important for the Romans to be able to move their armies and all their equipment around quickly and easily. So they built roads that would allow them to march soldiers from one place to another by the shortest and safest possible route. The Romans built their roads in a very particular way. First, they would dig a trench, which they would layer with big stones, then pebbles and sand, then cement and broken stones before using neatly cut paving stones for the surface. The roads would slope down from the middle to ditches on either side to allow the rain to drain away. They were unlike any other roads the world had seen before. Some of the main towns built by the Romans, such as London, Bath and Chester, were connected by long and straight Roman roads. The roads were so well built that you can still see some of them today. Many modern-day roads are in the same place as Roman ones over 2,000 years later.
I hope that was useful for you today. Let's go back to our slides. Okay, so we know that Romans were great builders. They used much more sturdy and long-lasting materials than the Celts did, didn't they? Which is why some of their buildings we can still see today. So if you've ever visited Bath, there's a lot of Roman buildings there you can see. All the limestone buildings, the Roman baths you might have visited. So these are all human features that the Romans built a long, long time ago that's still there. So let's have a quick look at some Roman houses. We're going to be really looking at human features that the Romans built. So the Romans built lots of cities that were well fortified with city walls. They also introduced lots of luxuries into civilization, such as public baths, like the Roman baths we just talked about, roads, and even plumbing. As a Roman, the type of house you would live in would depend on whether you were rich or poor, and whether you lived in a town or a country. So I want you to just pause the video and have a read yourself the different Roman houses there were. Okay, as well as their homes, there are some more human features I want to introduce to you today, some of which you might have seen before, something similar, some of which you might have heard of before. And we're going to do some spotting in a moment of these features. So the Romans would build buildings that would look a bit like this, almost more than a building really. It's almost like a separate settlement almost, and that was an army fort. We know that the Romans did lots of invading. They had lots of soldiers, and so this is where the soldiers would be. They had amphitheatres. These were for watching, for entertainment really, watching different talents. They had forums, and these were places where big sort of marketplaces, places to be quite social with others. We're going to spot some of those in a moment. Roman bridges. Obviously, we know that they were famous for building roads, and often roads go over water, so they were therefore also famous for their bridges. And finally, churches as well. We might find some churches on our map in a moment. So now is the time to get your map in front of you. We're going to be looking at the settlement built by Romans in the UK, and this particular settlement is a city of York. So York is still a city now in the UK, but this is a representation of what it might have looked like in Roman times. Now, York was a big army centre and safe place between the peaceful south of England and the trouble further up north. So if we go back to our map of the UK, we can see that York is here. So it's quite north of England. It's not quite in Scotland where all the trouble was happening. So, interestingly, it's where they had an army fort. There's a big army here. So, I'd like your activity is to look at your map of York. Find and label the human features. Make sure to wind this video back and see what the Roman buildings look like and what they were called to help you. So you're going to need to use a couple of slides before to help you. You could also include labelling roads, the homes, and ports if you can spot any. So pause the video. Your task is to use your ruler and label as many of those different Roman human features, the buildings and things, as you can spot. Maybe see if you can label maybe 8 different things. That's your challenge. Pause the video and do that now. Well done. I put a few on my screen in a moment, which I'll show you. You might have some more than me. You might have lots more, that's fine. I've just put a few. So this here, interestingly, is the Roman fort. This is where the army lived. Did you notice all those straight, long buildings that we had in the picture before? So that's the fort. We've got here an amphitheatre where they did their entertaining. You might have labelled that one. It looks a bit like an amphitheatre. It could be. And we don't know these. We don't know all of these features for sure. We're just having a guess at the evidence we've been looking at. So we're just having an educated guess. We know that that's definitely a bridge that goes along. So we can see a road, can't we, going along to it, and the road continuing over the river. I'm guessing that this is a forum because it looks very similar to the picture before, and it looks like they'd have a lot of space for market stalls and things like that here. So that's my guess. I'm making educated guesses today. So just check yours that you had those things, and like I said, you would hopefully have a few more on yours. And the last little bit I wanted to talk to you about today was a little challenge some of you might want to do. So challenge time. Choose 2 Roman human features to research. I'd like you to find out 3 things about them. What did the building look like? What was it used for? And who used or lived in the building? So choose 2 of those human features. Could be 2 of these perhaps, or the homes perhaps, and answer those questions that I'll flash up for you again in a moment. There we go. Good luck with your task or with your challenge if you're going to have a go at that. Please post some dojo. I'll see you next time. Well done.